One of the most closely watched races this election is in Tennessee. Congressmember Harold Ford is running against Chattanooga Mayor Bob Corker for the Senate seat being vacated by the retiring Majority Leader, Dr. Bill Frist. The race has gotten increasingly close in recent weeks, with Democrats hoping this seat will be one of the 6 seats needed to regain their majority. Harold Ford is a 5-term Democratic congressmember who comes from a political family. His father, Harold Ford Sr., served as a congressmember in the district currently represented by his son. 7 other Fords have also held political office in the state. If Ford is elected, he'll be the first black senator from a southern state since Reconstruction. Mike Wenger also joins us now from Washington, D.C., in addition to John Nichols. Mike Wenger is the acting vice president for communications at the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies. We welcome you as well to Democracy Now!, Mike.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Can you talk about this race, the Corker-Ford race for Senate?
Sure. Harold Ford has run a remarkably excellent campaign. He wasn't given much of a chance in the beginning, being African American, running statewide in Tennessee, a southern state, but he's run a terrific campaign. Bob Corker has made some mistakes along the way, and Ford now appears in the polls to be a couple of points ahead. However, I would caution there that in the past, polling has been notoriously inaccurate when it comes to statewide African-American candidates. Because of political correctness, what you see is white people telling pollsters that they will vote for the African-American candidate, but when they go into the voting booth, they often don't do that. We saw that in California several years ago when Tom Bradley was favored to be elected governor of California, and he lost. Harvey Gantt, who was favored to be elected to the Senate from North Carolina, he lost. Doug Wilder was elected governor of Virginia, but in the polling up to Election Day and in the exit polling, he was 10 points ahead, but he won by about 1 point, while his running mates won by about 10 points. So there has to be some caution here regarding the polls in Tennessee. Having said that, Harold Ford has run a terrific campaign. Things are changing, and Harold Ford has also run a fairly conservative campaign. He seems to be in sync with Tennessee voters on the issues, so that's going to be a very interesting race to watch right down to the end.
The Corker campaign is trying to distance itself from an advertisement created by the Republican National Committee attacking Harold Ford. The ad has drawn heavy criticism for being racially divisive. The 30-second spot features fictional characters satirizing Ford in mock in-the-street interviews. We're going to play a clip.
Harold Ford looks nice. Isn't that enough? Terrorists need their privacy.
When I die, Harold Ford will let me pay taxes again.
Ford's right. I do have too many guns.
I met Harold at the Playboy party.
I'd love to pay higher marriage taxes.
Canada can take care of North Korea. They're not busy.
So we took money from porn movie producers. I mean, who hasn't?
The Republican National Committee is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Harold, call me.
Back in the United States, the African-American mayor of a small farming town in New Jersey has been subjected to death threats and other harassment weeks into his first term in office. Charles Tyson is the first black mayor of South Harrison. In an interview with the New York Times, Tyson says he received racist phone calls and had the tires on his car slashed following his election last year. Tyson then received a death threat after taking office New Year's Day. In Louisiana, the newly elected mayor of the town of Westlake has been shot dead just days before he was set to become the town's first black mayor. Gerald Washington was found dead on Saturday after being shot in the chest with a single bullet. He was scheduled to take office today. Many new laws were enacted across the country on January 1st. The minimum wage has increased in 7 states: Arizona, California, Delaware, Massachusetts, New York, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, in political news, Democrat Eliot Spitzer was sworn in as the new governor of New York. In other news from New York, the mother of Sean Bell has begun a 24-hour-a-day, 50-day vigil outside the 103rd Police Precinct in Queens. Sean Bell was shot dead on his wedding day in November when police fired 50 shots at a car which he was driving with his two friends. The three men were all unarmed. His mother, Valerie Bell, said she's holding the vigil. In Louisiana, the coroner investigating the shooting death of an African-American mayor-elect has ruled the case a suicide. Gerald Washington was found dead Saturday, just days before he was to become the first black mayor of the town of Westlake. Washington's family has rejected the coroner's ruling and is calling for a state investigation. Meanwhile, in New Orleans, 7 police officers charged in the deadly shooting of 2 people after Hurricane Katrina surrendered Tuesday. The victims, 40-year-old Ronald Madison, 19-year-old James Brissett, were crossing the Danziger Bridge when they came between a gun battle between a group of armed assailants and the 7 officers. Madison, who is mentally handicapped, was shot 7 times, including 5 in his back. 4 of the officers are charged with murder and will not be allowed free on bail. And finally,